This was a Nazi propaganda slide promoting euthanasia. Yeah, the slide to indoctrinate youth because that was very big to them. They had to have control of the younger people. Yep. Does that sound familiar? Slide to indoctrinate youth taken from a Nazi propaganda film strip promoting euthanasia. It was prepared for the Hitler youth. The caption says, mentally ill Negro. 16 years in an institution, costing 35,000 Reichmarks. So, yeah. Mentally ill Negro. Unbelievable that people can't recognize what the hell game is being played. Especially the higher educated. But this Holocaust encyclopedia you can find online says how it's the higher educated that are indoctrinated the most easy to indoctrinate. I wanted to talk about what public health played, the role they played. Nazis' views on public health developed within the context of German culture, traditions, and medical science in the early 20th century. Many of the regime's public health priorities, such as eugenics, group exercise, and warnings against alcohol and tobacco, were first popularized during the years of the Weimar Republic. For example, in the 1930 film Born Out of Necessity, young Germans. So this is before Hitler's reign started in 1933. So for example, in the 1930 film Born Out of Necessity, young Germans are urged to fight the negative health effects of life in modern cities by exercising together and engaging in wholesome social activities instead of drinking and smoking. These themes were later reflected in public health policies after the Nazis' rise to power in 1933. Nazi public health officials adopted many of these traditions and ideas, but the Nazis' regime's public health policies were concerned solely with promoting the health of so-called Aryan Jews. According to Nazi ideology, every member of the so-called German racial community was like a single cell in the larger national body. Each individual had a duty to stay healthy and strong so that the German nation could conquer other people's land and colonize their land. Or could colonize and conquer other people's lands. These theories about individual health and national strength were influential throughout Europe and the United States in the early 20th century. However, Nazi Germany's policies were much more extreme than those of other nations. To help realize the regime's goals, Nazi public health initiatives focused on increasing the size and health of the Aryan population. They sent out brochures and movies. What's interesting is they talk about all these public health movies that were used as propaganda. Just go on YouTube and go to National Institute of Medicine or National Institute of Health. I've talked about these films before, going back to the 50s and 60s, how somebody with no symptoms but is new in town and the public health nurse says they got to go to the TB camp because there's a shadow on their lung, although they feel totally fine. Then they're in this camp doing calisthenics, doing military act. Like, it's ridiculous, all of it. Like, it's the same damn propaganda that's been going on. But then that shouldn't surprise people. Operation Paperclip. Anybody who's awake knows about Operation Paperclip. That one's declassified. Okay, this is not conspiracy, it's declassified. It's just the news is never going to tell you. Why? Because, again, they're the whores for the same people who pays them, so they're not going to do the right thing. But Operation Paperclip allowed many of the worst scientists, Nazi scientists, doctors, all to get out of the country. They never faced their trial, their hanging, really, is what they should have faced. And they snuck them into this country and a couple of others, but mainly here. And they continued their research. Operation Paperclip, it's a real thing. Yes, look it up. Nazis' theories of eugenics taught that those born with mental or physical disabilities weakened the collective genetic health, okay? The collective genetic health and strength, and were a life unworthy of life. I hate collectivism shit. The gene stuff is interesting too, because that was very big to them. Yeah, and how many genome labs do we have? All about your genetics. Yeah. No wonder our medical and nursing associations heading up the standard of care are so racist. They can't even recognize what they themselves have gone along with. Such a disgrace. The propaganda pamphlet, But Who Are You? Sort of like those cartoon books for children that say boys aren't all blue, like that kind of thing. Yeah, same indoctrination going on in the classroom, going on in the medical and science. Yep, unbelievably disgusting, all of this. The propaganda pamphlet, But Who Are You? Provides instructions for creating detailed ancestral charts in order to identify any threats to the heredity health of the German nation. Health officials, and isn't this why we have that gene that people can send their DNA into these certain places? And later I'm going to do a video about that, because there's been a lot of cold cases that have been solved in the last several years, like old cold cases, and it's a lot to do because of DNA. It's almost like somebody was like stifling all that DNA stuff for police, so they weren't able to solve some stuff. But now all of a sudden, maybe it's because it's talked about in the Bible. God says all truth, all lies will be revealed, all truth will be revealed. Yeah, there's a lot of truth being revealed, but people aren't telling you that there's so many cold cases going back to forever. But it goes back to these genetic, these ancestral sites. I'll do another video on it. But see, even back then, that's where all this came from. So, health officials even urged German citizens to report sexual partners suspected of having a sexually transmitted disease. The Nazi regime urged Germans to adopt healthy lifestyles. Okay, yeah, so they wanted the Germans to have, they wanted the Aryan people to have a healthy lifestyle, but not other people. Sort of like how we have an education system and a medical profession that's supporting segregating, let's hire all black people, or not even that. Everything is about the illegal immigrants. That's what it's all about to nursing. That's what everything is about. Not about the American citizen, not about this country. And they would say, yeah, because you're a nationalist, you're racist. No, they are the ones that are racist, but they're too filled with their political ideology that they can't see straight. See, so it doesn't do any good to have all those letters after your name. It makes you more prone to be taken in by all this. Become just an arm of the Nazi party. Nazi ideology had absorbed and built upon widespread ideas of eugenics, the idea that human society could be improved by selective breeding. Nazi authorities tried to transform Germany by enacting laws and policies inspired by Nazi ideas about race and biology. Anyone who hoped to join the Nazi Party and its related organizations, perform military service, or practice law or medicine had to document ancestral proof of their Aryan roots. Official policies around the concept of ancestral proof greatly increased interest in genealogical research. Yep. Germans could certify their racial purity through birth certificates, baptismal records, marriage certificates of their ancestors. I have one more I'm going to follow up with in regards to the propaganda and the Nazis, pretty much what we're seeing today.